Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here. Welcome back to another video for Borderlands 3. And in this one, I want to give you guys a chance to take a look at all the new legendary items, weapons, grenade, artifacts from the new Bounty of Blood DLC. I want to give a massive shout out to 2K for very kindly giving us early access. We had a chance to run through. Honestly, it is my favorite DLC so far. The theme is really, really cool. The characters are awesome. Some of the weapons you get from it are pretty snazzy. So in this video, I'm going to give you a chance to take a look at all of those. I do believe these are all the ones so far. Anytime there's like a new DLC, what I typically do is anytime I get new loot, I cross-reference it with the weapon database. If the name is not in the database, I therefore come to the conclusion that it is a new weapon. In this video, there are 23 items, most of which are weapons. There's also a grenade and an artifact. There are often a couple of additional items that you can get from doing all the collectibles, but those aside, this should be pretty much everything from the DLC. So if you guys do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. If you have any questions, by all means let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to keep it locked and turn on those notifications for future Borderlands content. Now, starting off at the top, we have the Bloom. This is a Jacob's pistol. There's quite a lot of Jacob's weapons in this because, of course, it kind of fits the Western theme. This one actually comes from the final boss. I won't say the name right now, just in case you guys haven't played it yet, but it is a really cool weapon. The red text for this one reads, "A thorn by any other name would probably still hurt." This one rolled with 9,700 damage, 64% accuracy, 57% handling, 1.8 second reload speed, a fire rate of 10.5 seconds, and a magazine size of 6. Now, the one cool thing about this one is that you can fire it like a normal Jacob's pistol, but you can also hold down the trigger to charge for burst fire shots, which will unload normally the entire magazine. I'm not entirely sure what the condition is here, whether it's landing crits or not, but sometimes it empties the entire magazine, other times it leaves one bullet left. But either way, you hold down the trigger, let it go, and it fires out all the bullets. Moving on from there, we then have a Hyperion SMG, the proprietary license. This one is called the Undermining Popular Proprietary License. This one rolled with 2,161 damage, 79% accuracy, 66% handling, a reload time of 2.6 seconds, a fire rate of 9.53 seconds, and a magazine size of 25. Obviously, being a Hyperion weapon, you can hold down the left trigger to bring up a shield, but more importantly, with this one, when you fire it, it fires in little bursts, and you have the initial bullet damage, but then it also attaches these kind of, I almost want to describe them as drilling rockets because they're attached to the enemy and then they sort of drill downwards, and then when they hit the ground, they explode. So you basically get two bouts of damage. You get the initial hit and you then get the subsequent hit when the little sort of drills get to the bottom of the enemy's feet. I'll be honest, when I tested this in motion, it didn't seem to do a great deal of damage, but visually it's kind of cool. Moving on from there, we then have the Mother 2. This is a TDR SMG. This one is called the Turbo Fire Sale Mother 2. And the red text for this one says, "Thank you for taking the time to read this flavor text. This flavor text loves you. That's awesome, love it." But obviously being a TDR weapon, there is some kind of behavior when you reload, and this one is kind of cool. Obviously when you fire it, it fires out this continual laser beam, which, this one rolled with fire damage or incendiary damage, so that is the element it kicks out. But when you reload it, you obviously throw the gun, and it then deploys this little floating beacon which has a laser that connects with the ground, and it basically goes back and forward for a period of time until it explodes. And anytime that laser connects with the target, it also deals additional damage. Moving on from there to weapon number 4, we have a Torgue rocket launcher called the Satisfaction. This one is the Oozing Shredded Satisfaction. This one has 11,444 damage times 5, accuracy of 50%, handling of 41%, reload speed of 4.0 seconds, and a fire rate of 0.64 seconds with a magazine size of 4. Now this one's kind of interesting because when you fire it out, this one rolled with corrosive damage. And when you fire it out, instead, this one basically attaches 4 rockets to the enemy, and then there is a slight delay before they explode. So technically speaking, as rocket launchers go, it's probably one of the few rocket launchers you can actually fire close range. Obviously, if it explodes, you still take damage, but normally you fire a rocket in someone's face, you also get taken down in the process. This one, you could fire it and run away before it explodes. So basically, it just attaches rockets to someone, and then a few seconds later, they explode. Next up on the list, we have the Complex Root. This is the Expert Complex Root. It is a Malawan sniper rifle. Obviously, that means you can switch between elements. This one rolled with shock and radiation. This one has 10,053 damage, 94% accuracy, 92% handling, a reload speed of 3.8 seconds, a fire rate of 8.69 seconds, and a magazine size of 14. And it's basically the name. It's called Complex Root because when you fire out, you have to charge up first. So there's like an initial charge, and then you let go of the burst, and you have this initial hit that obviously hits the enemy and does some damage, but then there are some additional laser beams that take a rather complex route to basically bounce around and get back to the enemy for some additional damage. So yeah, it's basically in the name. After that, we have an Atlas rocket launcher called the Plumage. This one is actually really cool. It doesn't actually demonstrate that well in the training room, so I'll also show you some gameplay for this in the actual open world in the new area in Gehenna. But basically, what this one does is you have the tracking grenade because as you are, if you're familiar with Atlas weapons, you'll know that you have the rockets or whatever it is that can normally fire out. But then you also have some kind of tracker that can effectively help your stuff home in on them. Now, this one is not a single tracker that you fire. Instead, you fire out this tracking grenade that explodes in a large radius, and then anything that is tagged by it will basically be marked with this sort of red glow, and then anything that you fire will home in on that location. So without that, it's kind of useless because this fires out in some huge spread, kind of like a peacock spread, so would normally miss quite a lot of things, but provided you tag the target, all the rockets will home in on your enemy. Next up, we have a Vladov pistol called the Light Show. This one's really cool. I mean, visually, just looks awesome. I'm loving that kind of green lightning effect all over the weapon. And the red text for this one says, "Give me some light away." The damage for this one is 3,295 times 4. You have 90% accuracy, 60% handling, 3.1 second reload speed, a fire rate of 7.45 seconds, and a magazine size of 28. And this one, basically, when you fire it out, it kind of puts on a light show. You have these sort of swirling, almost spiral-like particles that sort of spin around and go towards the enemy. Obviously, the end of the barrel spins around as well, so despite being a pistol, it is kind of automatic, which is actually pretty sweet. In terms of damage, it doesn't necessarily seem to do a vast amount, but it is it's just a nice looking weapon. Moving on from there, we then have the frequency. This one is called the Sublime frequency. This one's actually really cool. Obviously, the red text for this says "Hertz so good." That's Hertz in sound terminology, because for one very specific reason, which will be made apparent in just a second. But this one rolled with 2,941 damage times 12. 61% accuracy, 60% handling, 2.7 second reload time, a fire rate of 6.3 seconds, and a magazine size of 12. Again, Malawan weapon, so you can swap between two different elements. This one rolled again with radiation and shock. And basically, you charge up the gun, and then when you fire it out, it actually fires out this big sound wave. So if you actually pause it and switch over to photo mode, you can see that it's kind of this really cool, almost like if you catch it at the right angle, it almost looks like a black hole, like some kind of intergalactic warp gate or something like that. But yeah, it's basically sound waves that go towards the enemy, and again, in different elements. Next up, after that one, we have the Dowsing Rod. This is the Engulfing Vicious Dowsing Rod. This one has 1,784 damage, 63% accuracy, 58% handling, a reload speed of 4 seconds, 14.01 second fire rate, and a magazine size of 75. The flavor text for this one says it's down there somewhere. Let me take another look. Basically, it's a Vladov assault rifle, and this one has shock damage on it, and when you fire it normally in the kind of machine gun mode, or the assault rifle mode, should I say, then you hold down the trigger, and it gets progressively faster the more that you fire it. So, you can obviously start dishing out pretty good damage, and it's got a pretty decent magazine size. And then obviously, if you want to swap over to the alternate fire mode, you also have a grenade launcher, which again is imbued by the element, so you then have some shock grenades as well, which is kind of useful. After that, we then have the Miscreant, the annexed Swift Miscreant in this case. This one has 4,321 damage times 2, 67% accuracy, 58% handling, a reload speed, or reload time, should I say, of 3.1 seconds, a fire rate of 10.16 seconds, and a magazine size of 28. This one says, "Why waste time shoot lock gun when few gun do trick?" This one's a Vladov pistol. Basically, it's kind of cool because it fires out these little rockets, and you have two different fire modes. You either have a single fire mode and you have a double barrel fire mode. So effectively, if you use the single fire mode, you fire out these rapid rockets and you fire them one at a time. Meanwhile, if you switch over to the double barrel mode, you get through your ammo considerably quicker in half the time, because you're firing out twin rockets every single time. Next up on the list, we have the Harold, the pack-in gratifying unkempt Harold. This one is a Torgue pistol. It has 7,740 damage times 2, has 74% accuracy, 52% handling, 2.5 second reload speed, a fire rate of 2.43 seconds, and a magazine size of 16. This one is basically just a good old Western revolver with rockets. I mean, it's a Torgue weapon, you expect some explosions. It fires out rockets, but I really like the way that, there's kind of the attention to detail. It doesn't actually pick it up on photo mode, but obviously every time you're spamming the trigger, you're then flicking the, I think it's called the hammer. I'm not a gun guy, so I apologize if that's the thing, but I think it's the hammer at the back. Basically, every single time you make a shot, you're reloading with that. It just looks cool. It looks cool in motion. You're just firing at loads of rockets. Doesn't seem to be expressly powerful, but it is, given the kind of Western theme, having a hand cannon, or having a pistol, should I say, with a load of rockets, I like it. Moving on from there, we then have the Stone Thrower, the Gatling Dastardly Stone Thrower. This one is a Jacobs assault rifle. As you kind of expect from Jacobs, hits kind of hard. Obviously has that kind of intrinsic perk whereby landing a crit shot does see the bullets ricochet to nearby targets, but obviously this one has 7,891 damage, 68% accuracy, handling of 62%, 3.2 second reload speed, a fire rate of 4.62 seconds, and 14 in the magazine. And basically, it's just a decently hard-hitting Jacobs assault rifle. Moving on from there, we then have another TO weapon. This is the Brightside, the Unlimited Brightside. It's a shotgun, and this one is actually really cool. It fires pretty slowly. This one's got 1,445 damage times 12, 54% accuracy, 60% handling, a reload time of 2.0 seconds, a fire rate of 1.43 seconds, and a magazine size of 8, which in itself doesn't sound that crazy, but I believe the kind of secret perk for this one is that if you land a crit, you basically don't use up ammo. Yes, admittedly, I am playing as Flak, so there is the kind of hidden bonus that occasionally upon crit, I do get one back in the magazine, but you'll notice when you use this one, this procs a lot. Basically, anytime you're getting a crit, it's not using ammo. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is basically an infinite ammo shotgun, which is actually kind of cool in this kind of setup. If I actually switch over and I use Flak's fadeaway ability, you can see that I can get the most out of it. I can basically just use this, and by the time my ability's recharged, I still haven't got through the magazine. So considering it only has a small magazine size, this actually goes quite a long way. We then have the Gargoyle up next. This is the Chemic Easy or Easy Gargoyle, and this one has 2,569 times 3 damage, accuracy of 71%, handling of 58%, a repair time of 3.5 seconds, a fire rate of 9.4 seconds, and the shots to break is 49. This one has corrosive on it. It's a COV pistol, but it fires basically like a SMG. And the cool thing about this one, obviously you dish out corrosive damage, but it also has this kind of additional acidic explosion that kind of comes with it, this sort of like a toxic looking explosion that is obviously not typical corrosive behavior. So this basically seems to, I'm not entirely sure whether you can get this in other elements, because this is the only one that I got to drop, but I would imagine if you did, you would effectively get, your core bullets plus this additional splash that kind of comes out with it, which is kind of cool. After that, we then have the Sublime Flipper. This is a Malawan SMG. This one switched between corrosive and cryo. Has 2,745 damage, 69% accuracy, 58% handling, a reload time of 2.7 seconds, a fire rate of 5.95 seconds, and a magazine size of 35. When you charge this one up, you have to charge it up ever so slightly. It fires out this kind of, split beam of multiple projectiles on the enemy in kind of rapid succession. After that, we then have the beacon, the superfluous beacon. This is a Maliwan pistol. This one rolled with corrosive and cryo again. It has 5,347 damage, 83% accuracy, 76% handling, a reload time of 1.6 seconds, a fire rate of 5.54 seconds, and a magazine size of 10. Again, similar behavior to the last one. Charge it up ever so slightly. It fires out this rapid string of projectiles. This one fires them out in these sort of little orbs, and it's basically just like a rapid fire pistol. And also it has the additional bonus that reloading triggers a nova of the current element. So, I guess kind of useful if you're in a crowd. After that, we then have a dial pistol. This one is the Blanc, or Pouncing the Blanc. This has 5,679 damage, 83% accuracy, handling of 68%, reload time of 2.1 seconds, fire rate of 9.91 seconds, and a magazine size of 19. This one, when you damage enemies, it grants 35% weapon damage for a short time when switching between fire modes, and this can stack up to 10 times. So basically you have your standard burst fire mode, and then you have semi-auto mode. So effectively you would dish out some damage, swap to the other mode, dish out some damage again, keep swapping, and you can then continually stack damage. After that, we then have the Robbins Call, not the Rowan's Call, but the Robbins Call. This is the cool-headed Robbins Call. It is a Jacobs shotgun this time, and this one deals 2,375 damage times 9, has 60% accuracy, handling 65%, reload time of 2.4 seconds, a fire rate of 5.66 seconds, and a magazine size of 12. And of course, being a Jacobs weapon, critical hits for this one return 1 bullet to your magazine and ricochet 1 bullet to nearby enemies. So again, could be useful in some of those crit builds because being able to stack that and kind of get those continual crits to refill the mag could definitely be worth your time. Following on from there, we then have another Torg assault rifle. This one is the Contained Blast. This one is the double penetrating gratifying Contained Blast. Has 4,404 damage, 76% accuracy, 76% handling, 2.5 second reload time, a fire rate of 5.77 seconds, and a magazine size of 16. And given it's called Contained Blast, basically you fire out all these explosives, these kind of little rocket modules in rapid succession. They all attach to the target, and then upon reloading, they will detonate. If you don't reload, they will explode after a short period of time, but normally it would just basically be fire them out, attach them to the target, reload, and then they explode in one contained blast. We then have a Torg shotgun. This one is the Cocky Spade. This one actually behaves in a very similar manner to the last one. It has 3,663 damage times 5, 76% accuracy, 58% handling, reload time of 1.9 seconds, a fire rate of 9.24 seconds, and a magazine size of 2. Basically, this one fires out these large spreads that, again, much like the last one, attach to the enemy, and then upon reloading, they will explode. You have the added bonus that gyrojets will penetrate targets, leaving sticky bombs on all enemies that they pass through. So if you are using this in a crowd, it will of course have greater value. And then finally, the very last one here is the Chandelier. This one is the Abundant Proficient Chandelier. This one is a Maliwan shotgun that rolled with shock and radiation. It has 4,105 times 4 damage, an accuracy of 65%, a handling of 56%, reload time of 2.4 seconds, fire rate of 1.72 seconds, and a magazine size of 13. This one, I'll be honest, I haven't necessarily noticed any unique behavior other than you basically just charge it and it comes out in this hefty, large explosion. Weirdly, the radiation one doesn't seem to have the same visual effect, so I don't know whether that's just a visual bug or whether it's kind of intended behavior, but the shock side of it basically kind of charges out and does this huge explosion on the target. Meanwhile, the radiation one just doesn't look quite as impressive. But either way, that is the last weapon. Following on from there, the only other things we have are a grenade that is called the Tracker, the Transfusion Tracker. This one has 18,623 damage, a radius of 243. It's a homing and a transfusion grenade. And outside of that, doesn't seem to have any really unique properties. It basically just like dishes out a good deal of damage. It does also have the added bonus that it heals 120% of health for the damage dealt. So that is kind of useful, probably with a transfusion name. But outside of that, it doesn't necessarily seem to be that special. And there is also an artifact called the Spark Plug. This one is the Spark Plug Safeguard. And this one has the perk whereby when you slam down, it plants an electrified coil that does shock damage to nearby enemies. So there you have it. That is a look at all of the legendary items in the new Bounty of Blood DLC so far. Again, that's all the ones that we encountered. We went through and farmed the bosses, all of Mayhem 10 a lot of times, so I'm pretty sure that is pretty much everything, all bar maybe a couple of items you can get from collectibles, which we just haven't got around to doing yet. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys have got when you're playing through yourself, and of course be sure to keep it locked for plenty more. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arekkz Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there. If you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with, it's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.